cost me every dollar I had. I paid over $50,000 for a lawyer, which at that time, coming from nothing, was more than I could even muster up. So I had to move in with family members and pretty much work 7 days a week to pay a lawyer. After about a year and a half of back and forth to court, I finally had my actual trial. It lasted 5 days, and I was found guilty. So I went to prison immediately, and the way it works in Rhode Island is you go to prison first, and then about a month later you get sentenced. So about a month later, as all my friends and family and boss and everybody that I knew was standing in the courtroom, I was all over the news. I was on the news probably every single day. I'm just a small town kid that grew up in Maine. Next thing you know, I'm in Providence, Rhode Island, and I'm on the news every day with all these big gangbangers and everybody else. I was sentenced to the maximum, 15 years in prison with 8 to serve, which the way it breaks down in Rhode Island is that's called a suspended sentence. So I had to do 8 years in jail, and then upon my release I have a 7-year suspended sentence, which means that if I get arrested at all within the next 7 years, I will immediately return back to prison. So if I go 6 years and 6 months without getting in any trouble whatsoever, and then I get arrested again, at that point I will go back to jail for the entire 7 years. So that's the way that works. Prison was crazy. Prison was unbearable at times, but you know, they say that you don't know how strong you are until the only option you have is to be strong, right? So luckily I had been a good enough person in my life to have great support and an amazing family and friends who really, you know, stuck by my side the entire time. It took me a few months to really sit back and realize that I did wrong. And when it really started to hit me of how bad of decisions I had made was seeing the family on the news and reading it in the paper, and you just don't realize when you make these small little inconsequential decisions in life how many people they can really affect. I mean, I didn't just kill somebody, I destroyed a community. I forever altered the lives of so many people. He had a younger brother and a younger sister that will now grow up without a mentor and without a guiding person in their life because of a decision I made, and never mind the mother and the father that lost a child. And it's, you know, it's a terrible thing to even think about having to go through. He was an innocent kid, and I never meant to hurt him or anybody else, but I did because I made terrible decisions. I have some questions here. I'll try to answer all of them. You know, jail when I first got there was crazy. I'd never heard of jail. All I knew about jail was what I saw on television, so I didn't know how to react to anything. I grew up in Maine. I didn't know anybody in Rhode Island whatsoever except for kids I had gone to college with, and they had already gone home because we graduated a year before. So I was alone, and I went to maximum security for 2 months. And then maximum security was a little bit crazy. You know, I saw some crazy stuff. I don't really know how graphic I'm supposed to get on this, but I saw what happens when you put a lock inside of a sock and swing it at somebody. I mean, it's crazy. Without a doubt, it's like an alternate universe in there. And then luckily after 2 months there, I was reclassified. The way Rhode Island works is a classification system, so however much time you get sentenced to and however many times you've been to prison gives you a certain amount of points. In my accident, some of the people that were involved in it, some of the kids that were in the car, their parents were town councilmen, police officers, so on and so forth. So they had a little bit more influence on the point system breakdown than other people may have, and you know, they're totally entitled to that, because had it been me, I'd have done the same thing. So you know, my points were a little bit higher than most people with my charge. Most people with my charge went to minimum security. I went to max, and then I went to medium. I was in medium security for 3 years. And in medium security, it's 68 men in one cell. So it's just this long hallway of sorts with a chain link fence going around it, and the cops sit in the